Can you share how much you made last year?
Yeah, so 3.5 million. Started as a busboy, worked my way up to bartender, promoter, and then I owned and operated nightclubs, 5 in Toronto and 2 in Miami. You're living in the fast lane, you're going hard. It was a 7-day-a-week job.
If you give yourself 2 hours to do a task, or if you give yourself an hour to do a task, you'll get it done in the amount of time that you give it.
For me, I had hit rock bottom. I just really spun out. I didn't know how to get a handle on my addictions. I was so far away from the person I really was deep down and my core values and how I grew up.
God just doesn't throw money at people. If you're following faithfully, he blesses the hands. If you're truly working and truly trying to find God, it's pretty hard not to see the fruit of that.
Before I even meet you, show me the 5 dudes you hang with the most and I'll have a pretty good understanding for who you are.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Business Podcast. I'm your host, Javi Chavez. Today we got a good one. I got my guy, Nick Regina. He is the CEO of Spark Financial Group. He's been at a few of our events in the past as well. He's crushing on the personal brand side. You're also running Wealth Club? What is that?
Yeah, we had a little community on school there.
Okay.
Actually, we just walked away from it now because it's like the dog who chases 2 rabbits got neither. And it does take a lot of time to build up those communities and inject courses in them and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we had fun while doing it. It was a cool community, 150 people. We provided a lot of value.
Did you charge for it?
We did, yeah. But there was no high ticket items.
Yeah.
So the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
No, I actually was just talking about this. We did a low ticket community. We had 800 paying members.
Okay.
Not worth it at all. Because it's too expensive. It's too expensive to bring new people in, and the ROI just isn't there because these low ticket people ain't gonna spend any money.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So tell me a little bit more about kind of what got you here. Tell me about your journey. So I know you're in the insurance space as well, and then also just financial services, loans. So how did this all start?
Yeah, so I used to be in hospitality and nightlife. I was there for 15 years. Started as a busboy, worked my way up to bartender, promoter, and then I owned and operated nightclubs. So I had a total of 5 in Toronto and 2 in Miami by the art district there, Wynwood Walls. And you're living in the fast lane, right? You're going hard. It was a 7-day-a-week job. I was immersed in my business. You know, if it wasn't the daytime operations, it was having to be there at night, whether you're hosting the celebrities or some VIPs, making sure that, the systems and processes are running and everything's nice and tight, right? It's easy to have money go missing in that industry if you're not there feet for service, right? So yeah, and I loved it. I got really good at it. I was making a lot of money. However, there's a lot of vices and I took on a few addictions that I had to arrest and walk away from. So reason being for me jumping into the finance space and now trying to build my personal brand, connecting with my faith and Jesus and God and all the other good stuff is I have a family. I'm a family man. I got 3 little kids, a wife. And when my kids were born, I said, my number one priority now is just to lead by example and be the best version of myself for them. And that industry was simply not going to allow me to do that, right? So as much money as I was making and as easy as it became because I was doing it for so long, I had to walk away. And plugged into the finance space. I was doing a bit of private lending with the money I was making in hospitality and some real estate investing. It's a solid asset. It's something that, the finance world shuts off at 5 p.m. You get to have that time at home. So yeah, I just kind of made the leap. And like anything, I go, 0 to 100 real quick. And we built a little firm. It's been 5 years now. We have 3 verticals, the insurance vertical, the mortgages, and the private debt equity fund. And we have a $1 billion vision that we want to, exit, but we're still in the very early infant stages, but we're having fun. Yeah, it's good times.
So what was the catalyst for you? Like you said, obviously it was your kids, but a lot of people stay in that industry even with kids and, they never see the need to make a change in their life. So what was that for you?
Yeah, for me, I had hit rock bottom. I just really spun out. I didn't know how to get a handle on my addictions, right? And I feel like I was so far away and from the person I really was deep down and my core values and how I grew up. And I was lost, right? And I kind of went through an identity crisis as well. And I was just feeling like this isn't right, and I had a bigger calling, right? And the spiritual journey that I've been on and getting sober and connecting with God and working with life coaches and awesome coaches that have helped guide me in the right direction has really helped me dig deep.
Did it all happen at the same time? So So basically, so you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Find God.
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I mean,
literally fell to my knees, and I was just like, whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're out there, I need help. I can't do this on my own. This is so bad, and I was really scared. And I remember it was on the bed step. It was on the step of my bed that night, and it was like something came in me, and then I just followed the nudges after that, and he led me to where I am now.
yeah. So when you're calling out and you're saying, "Hey, whoever you are, whatever you are,"
Yeah.
how did that then lead you to Christianity specifically, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So just I was watching a video on YouTube, and my life coach was on a podcast. I'm big on podcasts. I watch a bunch of all your stuff too,
awesome.
right?
Thank
Yeah. And I was like, man, I like the way this guy moves. I like the way he sounds. Like I like the way that he's just so happy and vibrant. I'm like, I need a little bit of that, and so checked in with him. Took on his program, took it really serious. Part of his program, it's the Wheel of Life. So essentially, it's like a stem off of Tony Robbins stuff. And one of the spokes is spirituality. And when you'd have to allocate, a certain amount of time throughout the week to every spoke to make sure that you're achieving balance. So the spirituality side of things, like I grew up a Roman Catholic, right? But kind of unconscious to the, to everything to do with it, right? You're just going through the motions because that's, the school I was in or what my family was doing. But I really took to Christianity, right? And I love the way, like Pastor Stephen Furtick rocks out and just like, even dudes like you guys, right? And like how you're cool guys, but you're all about your faith. And the way the pastors rock out, like they're very relatable, and it's just a beautiful thing. So with that, I plugged into a local church and just like started going and kept praying and, now listening to the audio Bible, watching all the movies, the Passion of Christ and all that stuff on TV. And
For sure.
Yeah, man, JC's the coolest guy out there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably arguably the best.
100%.
Actually, not unequivocally the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. I love that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think God has to humble us sometimes. We got to hit rock bottom.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the reason why, one of the things that we talk about a lot here is with wealth, right? Like it's, the Bible says it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And the reason for that is because a rich man doesn't feel like they need God, right? Because they're like, everything's cruising. Like it's a lot harder to seek God when things are going really, really well.
Yeah.
Because another proverb is, pride comes before the fall. And so like when you act with a big ego, it's hard to like humble yourself to God. And so God sometimes has to throw a little nudge your way, and then because it's for most people, unless you grew up in the faith and you're always in the faith, most people have that same story, right? Like you hit rock bottom or something happens and you get humbled and then you end up coming to Christ. So I love that. That's amazing, man.
Yeah,
But
big time. They arrested the ego like crazy.
Yeah.
There's none of that really there. Like you don't feed into it. It always exists, but it was such a humbling experience and continues to be that it's just like anytime that ego comes out a little bit, it's like, no, man, all glory to God. You know what I mean? Like, chill out, dude.
Absolutely,
man. You know the drill, right?
Yeah, man.
You know where this leads.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me about the business. So where are you guys at today?
Yeah. Right now, we have 13 full-time staff. We're based out of Toronto, right? Our headquarters is there. We've done an expansion, and now we're also in Calgary, Alberta. And we have very small presence in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But essentially, it's like, take our existing motto and inject it into as many marketplaces as we can that have a dense, kick-ass economy and just go with it. Because, we're confident in what we've built. But at this current stage, and I'm going to come to you boys for it, we got to inject a sales arm that's going to kick some serious butt because we're doing a lot of work with Patrick Bet-David, the consulting team there, him and Taylor and Leo when he was there, and like understanding that corporate organizational chart and certain ceilings that you're going to hit in revenue and to blow past them, how you kind of got to tear your model apart and put it back together with some components that were not there once upon a time. So we need a sales arm because what's fed the company's revenues to this point is some decent social media presence, events, some networking, title sponsoring, some events where our target market is. But, it's been very reliant on my network. And that can't scale past where it is right now. And I got to inject that arm, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And so when you say sales, is it like just trying to build out a sales team, or do you feel like you just need to get more leads, lead
More
flow?
leads, man.
Yeah.
And whether you talk to me about search engine optimization, a badass pipeline on the social media that you know how to light up, and then have a little call center or whatever it may be to be the follow up on that pipe. Just let's do it.
For sure.
Leads, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but like with the offer itself, so I know you said you have a few different things and a few different product lines, but why would somebody come to you versus somebody else?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we pride ourselves on a white glove service, the fact that we are boutique and the fact that we are brokers and we can be a lot more flexible than the bigger institutions who have a certain amount of products on the shelf, but if you don't fit within those boxes, then they can't help you. Whereas if as brokers, we have access to many different lenders on the mortgage side, and as brokers in the insurance world, we have access to many different providers on the insurance side, right? So that's mortgage and insurance. Yeah. And then private lending, we're quick. Like we have a small fund, so we're the ones writing the check. And we have private lenders that are like equity only lenders. They're not going to put you through the process of like, what's your income, what's your credit, like what's your exit strategy. It's like, oh, there's equity in the property. It's in this area. Okay, give them the dough, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And so what's like some parallels that you've had between like, your experience in nightlife that you think helped you like launch and jump and be successful pretty quickly in this space?
Yeah, always been a guy to take big action. I've always put the client first, bent over backwards for them, and did whatever I had to do to make it so that they felt trusted with me and being integral. Like that's my top core value within my company and myself. It's like integrity goes a long way with people. If you could build that trust with them, then whether you got to deliver good news or bad news, they know that you're trying your hardest, you're doing the best, and you're serving them, and will continue to, right? So yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
and it's funny. The first one you said is just take action. I think most entrepreneurs, if they just did more stuff, they'd probably be more successful. And I know that sounds very, very basic and very simple, but it's so true. Like whatever and this is where Grant Cardone talks about like 10x and all this stuff. Well, you can't always just keep 10xing, but if you just thought like, hey, what is the highest and best use of my time today in this moment, and how can I do more of it? Like that's really like, as far as like what we do in our businesses, that's all we think. Like, what is the highest and best use of my time right in this moment, in, like for the week or whatever, and then how can I just do more of that thing that's going to make me more money, and how can I get the other stuff off my plate? That's what we think about with delegation, scaling, literally everything. Like I think that's the best. Like whenever people ask me about like, hey, like what's your one piece of advice to entrepreneurs? It's just that. Like figure out what makes the most money, figure out how you can do more of it, and you'll probably be successful.
Take massive action. And then like, listen, I've failed a lot. But it's like I'll fail fast, and it's more like ready, fire, and then aim. So but it's like if you fail fast and then you move forward on trying to figure out what is working. Like it was so cool when we first got in here. Just like, okay, where do you make the most money? You know what I mean? Like let's go with that, right? It's just, sometimes like you're processing at a high level, but sometimes that like you think that would be common sense, but common sense isn't so common all the time. And
for sure,
even with myself, it's just like, like why wouldn't I do that, right? So it's refreshing to be chopping it up with someone who's really educated and who takes big action and pulls bold moves as well with their business.
Appreciate it, man. It's been fun. So tell me, like with PBD, what's kind of been your big takeaway as far as like what's really been a big needle mover for you with them?
Yeah, just reading, man. He makes you read like crazy, and like a bunch of different books. And I'm by far like the smallest dude on his calls. Like I'm an ant compared to some of the other guys. And these guys are like trying to solve for big problems and they have big revenue. So like a lot of the questions like that they're asking and he gives answers to, it served as inspiration, and like to really have it be that I set my goals a lot higher, right? And he was a big part of, having it be that $1 billion valuation would be the exit, because, if you shoot for a target like that, then you start to think different, you start to move different, and it propels you forward a lot quicker. And it's just been inspirational in a way that I'm thinking bigger, and I read a lot.
1,000%. And one thing that comes to mind a lot of the time that when you mention that is, there's a lot of ways to get to 10 million, but there's usually only one way to get to 100 million, right? So like, people are solving for big problems, or they're solving for like all these little problems down here, right? So you can you can figure it out. But really, when you think about it, when you have your big goals, right, you want to do $1 billion exit, there's probably only like one or two ways that you can really get there, right?
It's true.
And so like it helps you refocus when, like you said, if you have a big goal and a big target, it makes everything else kind of fall into place a little bit, and it's a lot easier to say no to things, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to be like, no, well, that doesn't align with our mission. Like, is that the best use of our time, our money, and our resources? And are we going to get the most juice out of that squeeze, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we have to do a lot in our business, right? So 2021, 2022, even going into 2023, we had like 8 different brands and 8 different businesses, right? And we were like, well, and all of them were successful in their own right. All of them were at least 7-figure businesses. Some of them, 8 figures. But we're like, well, what's easier? Can I get all of these to 10 million, or why don't I just make $100 million company or 2, right? And that's kind of what we're focused on now. It's like, just go deep into real estate on the actual like business acquisition side, and then go deep into real estate education and services. If we can do those 2 things really well, we'll walk away with a pretty big exit as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of our focuses too, which has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
there's
like,
been so many times I bit off way more than I could chew, and it's just like sometimes I wake up, I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Right? And it's like, just focus on that 1 or 2 things and go hard with it, right? Because then you'll be awesome at it, as opposed to like having your energy sucked and drained from all these somewhat like essentially startups, right? Yeah, I made myself a promise, like no more startups. Like I'm done with it, man.
Yeah, man, it's tough. And because like finding product market, you spend so much time and energy and effort just to get to like a small level when you're like, dude, I could have just spent all that time, energy, and effort on the thing that's already making me a bunch of money.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm 100% on that. So what are the things that you guys are like struggling with right now, or like what are the big problems you're trying to solve?
Yeah, just getting that pipeline fired up. Like I've leaned down the operation to where we're running like super efficient. I have like some really cool, like good systems and processes in place, KPIs. The corporate org chart is really working for me. The brand equity's been built.
It's just scaling up the marketing and
That's
sales.
it, man. I just need a pipeline to fire up,
Yeah.
And that for me, like I've been good at shooting content, making it so that we're building brand notoriety and equity, and like everybody knows us in the city, but like in regards to firing up that constant like oil line, I've never been able to do that.
Yeah, well, the thing about content too, especially in like the way I see the content economy right now, is it's very hard to like break through all the noise without having some sort of paid arm or some other way to generate revenue, because like, and this isn't to say that shooting content is bad, because like I think like I wouldn't be doing this if it was, right? But what typically happens is people see us through paid and they go see the organic, and then they're like, all right, this Nick guy, like he's legit, like. But so that's why like I would always keep doing the organic stuff, but figuring out like again how you can build up that arm is going to be super important. So I mean we'll talk about it right now. So like what would you allocate budget wise like to marketing if you could?
Like to boot it up on
to start it,
sales arm?
Yeah.
I'd start it with like 15, 20K a month.
Okay. If you have that, you'd be in great shape.
Yeah.
So at 15K a month, this is what I would probably do. I would run traffic to a webinar. Like that's like, it's been the best high leverage thing that we could possibly do. Also, I would figure out on the back end if there's any other services that your clients are going to use anyway that you could sell them, right? That are more sticky, right? And I don't know what those things are off the top of my head, right? But I would look and see like what's adjacent that like my people who are getting loans, like what loan products are they, or what are they using their money for, right? Like if they're going to go buy real estate or something like that, how can I like at least have a partner that I can send them to afterwards?
Got it.
So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. So just figuring out like what are the adjacent things, because that's going to make you more money once you actually get the sale. So the first thing that I would do is, yes, I want to make sure that I get new people in the door, but how can I monetize my existing audience?
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that we did. We were like, all right, we bring all these people who want to learn how to invest in real estate. And for years, we would give them like our partners. So be like, oh yeah, if you want loans, go to this person. If you want whatever, go to this person. And we're like, well, why don't I just bring this in-house?
Yeah.
And the thing that we would learn is they would use us once, but then they would go use that service like 20 times, right?
Okay.
Like whether they're doing more loans, more house flips, they're buying software, whatever, right? So we were like, let's just provide those services for them. So that made us way more money in the back end, and our people are way more sticky. But on the front end, back to what we were talking about, yeah, I would spend like 10, 15K, get all these leads. I would hire 1 or 2 appointment setter type people, like that level, and I would just have them call these leads all day long, get them to show up to your webinar. You could do it once a week. And then
there's like a free webinar where you're providing education on.
I mean,
like financial planning.
Yeah. I mean, we would figure out what the offer is, right? Because that's gonna be super important. Actually, here I'll backtrack a little bit. The way that we go through any coaching or any time that even when we look at our own business, first thing we start off with is offer. How can we make the offer as irresistible as possible? Okay. So like, what is the best thing that we want to promote? And like, how can I make this thing packaged super, super well? Yeah. So that would be, I think for you, your the loans on securities. I think that's super interesting, right? Because I mean, I've never heard of that. I mean, I have, but I've never heard anyone that does it. Yeah. So figuring out how can I make this super attractive and like a no-brainer, right? Because once we know our offer, then we can go to our audience and figure out marketing. Next piece is marketing. How are we going to promote it? And that's where I think about the daily webinar. What happens during that? Transparently, it's like a pitch. It's an hour and a half pitch where, yeah, you're going to give them some light education. Basically, the whole purpose of that, to put it at a really high level, like we go deep in it if we work together. But the way it breaks down is you're going to educate them, but by the end of it, they're like, I could do this on my own, but it's way easier to do it with you. Yeah. Like that's the simplest way I can put it. It's just like, yeah, you're going to learn something, but you're going to learn also that I should just work with you instead of me trying to go figure it out on my own. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and we have a whole process on how we do that and all that, but usually it's about an hour of like content and then about 30 minutes of Q&A and pitching. Okay. And then at the end, either for you, I'd probably just have a book a call. So, hey, if you're interested, if this makes sense, put your number in or, click the link here, schedule, talk to one of your people. Yeah. And then that sale is so easy at that point because they've been pitched. They know what the thing is. They come in and they buy. And then again, like what's a client worth to you? Like on the loan side, like how much would you make on like what's the average?
Like a typical loan?
Yeah, like a typical loan. Like how much do you make?
8 to 10K.
So yeah, I mean,
on the securities lending, that's like 30K plus. So
on your ad spend, you have to sell 2 people. Like that's what I'm saying. Exactly. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. So yeah, if you can do that, and I guarantee you, like you would sell more than 2 people. Like it's the upside's pretty significant, even if you can close 1 or 2.
Okay, let's work on that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hire you guys.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do it, man. I think that model is just I'm seeing so many people make so much money doing it. Yeah. And I see why. And like I was telling you earlier, our margins have never been better because to do this in the past, right? The typical sales interaction is you have to take somebody lunch or you have to like spend hours on hours with them to get them to commit to buying, right? Yeah. Now I can just do that to 50, 60, 100 people on a workshop and I condense all that time and I don't have to pay my salespeople any commissions. Yeah. So it's like...
and the interesting part about that is the engine's already running. It's like I can have the people that we've partnered with in regards to even the underwriters at the bank go over what the process looks like with them, and then a tax accountant because they got to open up an account in the Bohemian Islands where the bank is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like what that looks like, and then just bring them through what that process is and be like, these are the experts you're going to work with. Let's book a call to get you started. But when we plug into St. James Bank, the great thing about that is like essentially we're just a lead generator for St. James Bank. So I'm leveraging my infrastructure, my network to plug them in with them. But then at that point, I got no overhead, right? So it's like once I flip that lead, they take them from A to Z. So yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah. So and that's basically like what I've learned is there's so much money in being a really good marketer. If you're really good at getting leads, then like you said, like then you just become a partner, and there is a ton of cash flow in being that person that can just generate a good lead. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do, and I think you'd come crush it. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about like leadership wise. Like, what do you feel like were some of the things that influenced you early on to become like just what do you think about when you're becoming a leader?
Yeah, just serving them first and making sure that like I identify their strengths and weaknesses, and I'm able to aid them where they're weak, and do it in a very tasteful manner where like you genuinely have their back, and you're showing them, how to improve in those areas, and you're giving them, incentive to build and to grow. I feel like, a lot of employers, they'll give you your contract, and then it's like it kind of starts and it ends there, where it's like, well, how would you feel if you put yourself in their shoes? And it's like, where's the incentive to grow here? Why don't you build out like a little 5-year roadmap and show them, if they're awesome and they continue to be awesome, where they can end up at the end of the 5 years? And that would, have them feeling like they want to go hard. And then, just being able to guide them in the right direction, but again, aid them where they're weak, and keep them, incentivized and motivated and bought into the overall vision. If they don't buy into the overall vision and they're not like, a part of it with you, it really, it'll drag down the operation.
How do you feel like you can get them to buy into that vision?
Yeah, they got to monetize off it, man. They got to make money, right?
For sure.
And they got to have fun while doing it, and they got to, know that you care for them. Like my life coach is their life coach. Like I pay my life coach to coach my staff. We go on retreats with them. So it's like, and there's no business talk, it's all about the wheel of life and conscious communication and how to spend more time with their family, time management, the Pomodoro effect, a little bit of biohacking with cold tubs, saunas, workout routines, diet. So it's like their coach is like, has nothing to do with business. And like, so they're improving personally. There's incentive for them to make a lot of money and to continue to. And then it's like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of a crew from the ground level that's going for something that big? It just makes work fun at that point, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
no, I love that.
Talking it into existence and kind of opening up and disclosing things that aren't really standard. And you would think you'd have to keep this information away from employees. That information, in my opinion, actually gets them going.
Yeah. No, and that's actually a great point. That's something that I personally struggled with very early on in my leadership journey, was like not giving them the full picture on everything. Cause I didn't think I was like, oh, I don't want to confuse them, or I don't want to I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. But like once I open the door up and I'm like, hey, like this is where we're at, this is where we're going, this is like where the goals are, it's so much easier to get buy-in. So I love that.
For sure.
Yeah. So like what are some incentives that you give your team, like on like whether it be the sales side or whatever, to like keep them bought in?
Yeah, so some of them have made equity partners, like the insurance vertical. They made equity partnership, and I'd give them a premium that they'd have to hit, and I'd give them, like kind of surface level strategy and some processes to work with, and I'd watch them, go into creative think tanks and build it out and actually bring these things to fruition. So, they're equity partners, and then we have a net profit share pool for some of the staff, right? And they're just attached to deal flow. And if it closes out, they're compensated per deal, right? So they're, always wanting to look for more deals and close them out. There's been, what other ways do we incentivize them?
Well, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Do you give net profit share to like non-sales employees, or is it pretty much like, hey, if you're generating revenue, you're gonna get a piece, but the people like your admin team or people who are processing stuff, like, do they get a profit share?
No, just the sales side of things, right? The people that have that in them, like, I did do that for a while, and it's just like people that are on the ops side of things and administrators, like they don't even want that pressure. They don't care. They're not born for it. They're just like, why do I got to do this now? I didn't sign up for it. That wasn't part of my job. So you're thinking, okay, well, yeah, this is how you could do it. And everyone has a network, and everyone can penetrate their sphere of influence. And why wouldn't anyone want to make more money? But it's just some people aren't, like just molded that way, and then that's cool. So yeah, there's our office it's 7,000 square feet, and about 3,000 of it's like co-working incubator.
Cool.
And so my office manager, depending on how much of that real estate she has rented out and how much is occupied and what she's getting for it, she makes like a little cut and a piece off of that.
That's
right.
cool.
So she always wants to make sure it's at full cap, and she's serving everyone coffees at the front, and she's friendly with them, So yeah, everyone's got a little bit of a different way to make money above and beyond their salary, right?
Love it.
Yeah.
So how do you balance being a father and then also being an entrepreneur who has a big goal of $1 billion exit?
Yeah, great question. It's so funny because I've been going through this phase the last 5 months. I was having major like general anxiety disorder. It would turn into panic. Panic would bring me spiral down into depression. And then I've been trying to pull out of that. And trying to pull out of that is identifying the root of the cause and what brought me there. And it was, I didn't set up my boundaries tight enough, and I wasn't saying no enough, and I wasn't, being mindful of my time. And again, just focusing on the one thing and going hard with it. And then I just spread thin and I spun out. Right. So I'm actually, really focused now on just the balance and having it be that my time management and my agenda, the wheel of life, it's all color coded in my calendar
There
now.
you go.
I'm like, no,
So you
I
can
got to
see
be
it.
here right now. And this is, what it's going to take for me to stay balanced. So, incorporating the morning routine with journaling, cold tubbing, saunas, the gym, that's my time. Then I'm at work, I'm giving her. Then I'm at home with the kids. I'm taking to sports or taking them
How
to
old are they?
bed. 5, 7, and 3.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
You guys
busy.
done?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's popped off in that household right now.
yeah, you got.
Yeah.
It is not quiet, I'm sure.
No.
That's cool,
So yeah,
man.
just say it mostly just, again, the dog who chases two rabbits caught neither, right? Focusing on the one and then just really valuing my time with my family, fun and recreation, health and fitness, and just staying balanced, man. Staying balanced. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that because I think entrepreneurs, like we get in and then we start working super hard and we forget why we started it in the first place, is to have the time freedom to do the things we want to do. And, we do our best here. We're home by 5 every day.
Nice.
It's very rare that I'm home by later than 5:30.
Yeah.
And we don't really work weekends. Actually, it's almost like maybe I can count on one hand the amount of weekends that we work.
Nice.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I think it's, I don't know which principle it is, but basically the idea is if you give yourself 2 hours, I think it's Pareto principle. I might be wrong. I think that's the 80-20 rule actually. But basically, if you give yourself 2 hours to do a task, or if you give yourself an hour to do a task, like your task you'll get it done in the amount of time that you give it, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, dude, like we're gonna come in and we're gonna grind really, really hard for 8 hours. Like from 9 to 5, I am here, I'm committed, I ain't doing anything else. But then second I go home, for me it's a little different. Like Ryan and I will text, like we'll do stuff while I'm at home, but I do my best to be as present as possible with the family because like, dude, like at the end of the day, it's like not like worth it. One of our things here is like don't go broke trying to get rich. So like don't miss out on the things that are super important, like the spiritual aspect, your family, your health, right? I think it all does start with the morning routine because that's really the only time that I get too.
Yeah.
It's like
Literally. Yeah.
yeah. So from 5:45 to 9, basically, it's like wake up, Bible, work out, do whatever I'm doing, and then make sure I'm eating something or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then I try to get here a little early. Try to knock out like some personal stuff like from 8:30 to 9 where I'm just kind of setting up the day and then getting to work. And I think that's been super valuable for us as a company is because once we set those like restraints, it's like either we get it done or we don't. And I think we've done okay doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what also like I really admire both you guys like with the Wealth Con, following all your content, and like I haven't been able to do it yet. And I don't even know how, bro. Like, it is a faith-based business too. Like,
it is,
and bro, that's a
very
beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's one of our core values.
Yeah, that's like even my partner, because I brought my partner, my videographer, to the Wealth Con.
Yeah,
and he's like, man, this is beautiful, dude. Like, it's all about God and spirituality, and like they're so connected that way. Like, could you imagine an environment for like 8-9 hours a day where you get to experience that? Because like when I do my praying and when I go to church, it's like totally isolated and separate, and I find that. In my workplace, like everyone has, different core values and I don't know what it is, man. North of the border in Canada and Toronto, it's like we're not as loud and out there and as proud in our faith.
I mean, dude, we're in Vegas, man. Like, so we're in the worst
it's
place
even harder here.
possible.
Yeah. Full of sin in the city.
Yeah, man. We're Sin City or saved city, as we like to call it, right? But I think so. This Bible verse is Matthew 6:33, right? Seek the kingdom of heaven first, and everything else will be added to you. Jesus said that in the context of like, hey, like the roof over your head, the food that you need, everything else is going to be provided for you first if you seek the kingdom, right? So the way I look at it, and it does take time, right? But Ryan and I look at it is, hey man, like if I just pursue God, everything else is gonna fall into place. And transparently, it has. And every time that I try to focus on something else, or I put money ahead of my relationship with God or anything, not just money, but like it always kind of falls to pieces, right? Wow. And I mean, God, I mean, yeah, I'll talk about it. God always finds a way. And so there's that piece, right? And the cool part about being a business owner is you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So that's part of the reason why you're a business owner. So you can talk, like, if obviously be authentic with it. But one of the things that I think Christians need to acknowledge is that people shouldn't know you're a Christian because you say you're a Christian. People should know you're a Christian by, they say your fruit, right? So like the reason why I came back to my faith was because of Ryan and because of the way he carried himself. I'm like, there's something different about that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like what is it? Like he operates at such a high level. It wasn't, Ryan never came to me. Well, I knew he was a Christian, but he never came to me and was like, hey dude, like you should be a Christian, right? It was like, nah, dude, this guy's different. This guy carries himself a certain type of way. He has integrity. I'm like, why? Oh, I get it. It's because he's a Christian. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Like so for if you're thinking about how to start incorporating those things, I mean, they should just be like, dude, like Nick's different. Like he's acting different. Nick's cussing less. Nick's like Nick just has this glow about him, man. Because and the only way you do that, it's honestly just by spending time with God and read the Bible. Like I can't stress that enough. I think that's what has changed my life, is just that extra 45 minutes that I spend reading. Like you say reading books, dude,
read it.
Just read the Bible. Yeah. Like and this is another thing. Here, I'll let you chime in a second, but I get fired up when I start talking about this. Like all the business books in the world, everything, like super valuable. There's benefit to like learning tactics, but in reality, like if you want to be a better leader, if you want to be a better husband, if you want to be whatever, like just be a better person, like the Bible's like, that's where all the wisdom is at. Like just go read the book of Proverbs and you'll be like, oh dude, I didn't realize how much biblical wisdom came, or just wisdom in general came from the Bible. Anyway, because if you do that, you fill yourself, your cup gets full, then you're ready to take on the day. And then you'd be surprised, like if you look at things through that lens, it makes things so much easier. So I'll say that. And then in terms of like how to just start doing it more, I think you just start doing it. You should also join Wealthy Kingdom. It's free. And we do a weekly leaders call, and then we also do a bunch of other stuff too. We just had our big event. But yeah, Ryan prays like in our meetings, like at the end of our meetings, like we'll pray a blessing. And some people like get weirded out, but that's okay. We still have people who aren't Christian here, and you don't have to be a Christian to work here.
Right.
But it went from like probably like 50-50 2 years ago to like 70, probably 80-20 now.
Wow.
And to date, we haven't offended anybody too much. So
nice, man.
Anyway, man, I get on tangents about it because I get fired up.
I love it. That's right for me right now. It's the coolest thing to talk about and what I'm most interested in.
For sure.
Like, it's just so beautiful. Dude.
Yeah, dude. Tell me like on the faith side, like how, like what are you doing? Like, and it's okay if you're not doing anything like outside of church on Sunday, but like how do you like, are you trying, like how are you connecting with God? How are you trying, like walk me through your spirituality journey right now.
Yeah, so got the audio Bible.
There we go.
New Testament.
Yeah.
Just started listening to that a week ago. Dug into the Passion of Christ. Powerful movie.
Oh yeah,
Powerful movie.
Serious.
To see what that man went through for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just give you a whole new level of respect for him. Go to church on Sundays, and I just pray and I talk to him. Like I really talk to him, and I go deep in the conversations, and I'm just authentic and true, and I just want to get more connected to environments and people and groups that are believers and that are devoting their life to Christ as well, because it's like that famous saying goes, right? Like, before I even meet you, show me the 5 dudes you hang with the most, and I'll have a pretty good understanding for who you are. And I feel like, that's the next step for me. So like even joining your community would be a big one, right?
Yeah.
And just being surrounded by that, right? Because, as much as I still got, my friends and my family and my network that I rocked with and grew up with.
Yeah, like, and don't cut those people off.
No. It's just, not at all. But it's like they're not talking that language. They're not living that life, right? And it's like, that's cool, but like I want more of it. So I gotta do that. I gotta take big action on joining that community, and
for sure.
that'll be a great start.
Yeah,
for
man.
sure,
I mean,
yeah.
we got a ton of people, and this is open to anybody on there. But I do a Bible study on Zoom
Okay.
every Tuesday, 5:30 Pacific Standard.
Nice.
So if you're free, hop on in, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd
yeah.
love to have you.
I'll
But it's
be
all
there.
it's all focused on Christian entrepreneurship, though, and that's the
Okay.
cool part. So everything, like for example, we just did a big study on leadership, but like what it means to be like a Christian leader, right? So like it's all biblically backed, but it's all applicable to business. Right, so we always go through like different things on character or whatever, right? So it's always relevant. So
Sick.
yeah,
Nice.
we'd love to
Yeah,
have
I'm
you.
down, bro. I'm gonna
But
join.
yeah, dude, I think the more that I get deeper in my faith, the more I realize that like it can't be compartmentalized. You know what I mean? Like where it's just like this is just who I am and how I carry myself, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, like I would rather, win the approval of God than of man,
Yeah.
right? So like at the end of the day, Paul, right before he was about to be put to death, he's like, dude, the last thing he said is just like preach the word, talk about the word. Like that was the last thing he said before he died, right?
Yeah,
And so it's like if I can just do more of that and then just represent the faith in a good way,
Yeah.
and make a bunch of money doing it,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
that's
why
great,
not?
right? But obviously the
Yeah.
money's secondary.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if you just focus on building the kingdom, you're going to get rewarded.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you're like, I'm not saying that if you're a Christian, you're going to get rich. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But God blesses work. Like, if you put in hard work, and that's something that's like goes through, that's in the Bible a ton. Like, God typically just doesn't like throw money at people. But if you're following faithfully, he blesses the hands. And what I mean by that is like, dude, if you're truly working and truly trying to find God, it's pretty hard not to see the fruit of that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
Yeah, dude.
100%.
So yeah, I guess quick tangent. Like, what do you think about like? What are some things that you think about with your kids? Like, what are you really trying to like instill in them?
Yeah.
Like,
Beautiful question, man. So I'm big on philanthropy and giving back. And, when I was I hopped on this new path and really plugged into my faith and built a relationship with the big man upstairs. Like contribution and purpose was a big part of that, right? And I made him a promise that I'll live out the rest of my life in giving back. And naturally, I'm a giver. And I think that it's almost a blessing, that I'm doing the philanthropy work that I'm doing now and I have a charity. But I really want, to show them how to give back and how to be kind and how to love thou neighbor, right? And just really, appreciate the small and the simple things in life, and for them to understand that, we're just being able to get up and be healthy and have our hearts beating and see and smell and feel and get and rock out for the day. Like we're part of the 1%, and there's a lot to be grateful for just with that, So having them, just again, the Support the Blazer campaign, the charity that
tell
we're
me about that
starting.
really quick. Yeah.
So it's like it's in my opinion, the revolution is going to be led with love, right? And that is the revolution, is love, and just spread the word and what JC wants us to do. And it's like the Support the Blazer campaign. So I wear a blazer for 30 days in a row every year, and it's to give back to hyper-local charities in Toronto, mostly to do with children. And this year, I've added in a few layers, and one of the layers is starting the Good People Army, and essentially it's inviting other people to come in and rock out the blazer with me, right? And wear it for 30 days, or however many days they feel called to wear it in between. And then I end it with a gala, and we go
there we
hard.
go.
Yeah, it went viral last year. Like all the big media and TV and news stations picked it up. All like the poppin', newspapers and blogs and radio stations. So it's like it's making it easy this year for me to acquire people that are going to be wearing the blazer. And what makes it really cool is like they're going to pick their charity that they want to donate to and that's close to their heart, along with the main charity. And then they're going to just like have the creative ability to do their thing on social media, to plan their own events, to have fun and spread the love and spread the word for their cause that's close to their heart. So it's by trying to invite more good guys in to do philanthropy work and putting like a cool spin on it. And naturally, as human beings, we're selfless. Like someone gives you the shirt off their back, you want to return the favor right away. And when we were born and brought into this world, we were just all love and innocence. And then the world got a hold of us and we kind of layered on top of that. But at our core, it's there. So like, I want this campaign to be able to pull that to the front for people and saying, whether you're in a scarcity mindset or there's so many things going on in life and the last thing you're thinking about is giving back, that's the first thing you should be thinking about is giving back and how to help someone out, right? Because it's just a beautiful thing and it feels amazing and that's what God wants us to do. So yeah, I really want them to like see that in me and see that what my core values and principles are of being a good father, being around, being present, and just being honest and open with them. Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, and it's so powerful when you have entrepreneurs who are focused on giving back, and because truly, if you can, if an entrepreneur is generous and they're successful, like the amount of resources that they have, regardless of whether you have a little bit or you have a lot, it's just a fact that if the more entrepreneurs you can touch and increase their generosity, just the more resources we have to be able to actually truly give back. And then, if somebody writes a 10K check, 100K check, $1 million check, like that can do a lot for a charity. That can do a lot for a church. That can do a lot. Sure. Yes. So like that's part of our mission too at Wealthy Kingdom is like, if we can teach these entrepreneurs like how to like seek the kingdom, like the ripple effect is so huge because again, not only does it impact their life, it impacts their families' lives, impacts their future families' lives, all their employees. Like it just goes so deep if you can just impact one entrepreneur. 100%. So yeah, I love that, man. That's amazing. So when's the next one, or like what do you got going on? Like,
September 18th to October 18th.
There you go.
And Kate's actually joining in. So this is our first representation south of the border here.
There we go.
In Vegas. So,
And so what charity is it going to, or like what's the main charity?
The Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So it's an international charity, and essentially they house different houses are different sizes, but they'll house families there because their children are seeking treatment from the local hospitals. And such as like heart transplants and whatnot. So sometimes they could be at the house for 6 months, a year, and the parents are like able to be hands-on with them because they take care of the food, the shelter, the schooling, the playtime. And these families walk away from life as they know it. So from their jobs, their social life, their fun and recreation. And it's beautiful because they allow that parent to be with the kid and all that love to be felt from them,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, there's a high percentage. It's like 74% of the funds are allocated to the actual house. And that makes a small percentile of charities that are donating that much to the cause itself. Like there's a lot of charities out there with a lot of layers on administrative operations, marketing, and to amplify it. And a small portion of it goes to the actual cause. So, this is one of the charities that they're rocking out, man. They're beautiful people over there too. I walked the house and I had the pleasure of meeting them and just seeing what was happening in there. And it's special. There's miracles going on, right?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's this year's charity. But
so you rotate through every year?
Every year I rotate. And usually it's like, just grassroots charities where the people, their hearts are in the right places and it's helping children. But this year, what happens is the people that are going to rock out in the campaign, like they get to pick their charity of choice as long as it's registered and, give back to who they want to. So it's kind of like what I want to create is like take the attention off of me. Everyone's got their own bio and their own page and their own their own team. And they're able to control that and control what happens with the funds. And it's almost like V for Vendetta vibes. Like there's no leader. It's just all of us with a blazer spreading love.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
So really quick, back to the business. Can you share how much you made last year?
Yeah, so $3.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who might be at that rock bottom? And, what would you say to yourself that was at that moment?
Don't give up and look to God.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the goal for this year, revenue-wise?
Yeah, you know what? It's honestly, if I could have a repeat from last year, I'd be a happy camper.
Yeah.
I shaved down like 30% of my full-time staff. I've leaned out my operation expensive. I've beefed up the bottom line. So if I can even just maintain revenues from last year, but Q3 and Q4, I want to tap you boys to pump that sales arm into it and fucking send it. You know what I mean? So next year we could hit it, but it takes time, right?
Yeah,
like
of course.
To integrate
it takes
to get
a
it
little bit
right.
Build out and get absolutely. So I love that though. I mean, it's all about what you take home at the end of the day. You can make 10 million, but if you only walking away with a few $100,000. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I'm with you on that. So that's great.
Yeah.
And question I always ask is, and it's deep, so get ready. If you left the earth tomorrow, what's something you'd want people to know?
That I was a believer in God and Jesus Christ, and I gave my life to him.
That's important. That's that mic drop. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so much like with that comes with that, right? Like if you follow in his footsteps, it's such a beautiful thing, you know. And I'm just starting on that journey, but it's like the guy's the man, and like how he rocked out for us and what he sacrificed and how he did it, and like that, you know, if people could understand that, and that's how much I value it, that was the one thing I wanted you to know. Like, what would that do for my kids? That probably have a pretty big impression on them following the word. What would that do for people that, you know, built a lot of trust with me and rocked out with me? Is be like, you know, that's awesome. You know, that would spread the love, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then they would get plugged in and follow his word too, and there's more love there, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, is to go out and make as many disciples as possible.
100%.
Because, I mean, my life is so much better after I've decided to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, like, have I made more money? Yes, but that's not the motivator. My relationships are better. I have more peace than I've ever had. Because I mean, I don't know what you were into, but I mean, I've had a lot of vices.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with like self-worth. I had a lot of issues with, just, I mean, name your thing, I probably did it.
Yeah.
Right. And like, and not saying that a lot of those temptations do go away, but there's always like triggers and stuff like that.
Sure,
But like, when you realize how much Jesus loves you and also how real it is, like, I have seen crazy stuff. I've seen cancer healed. I've seen just miracles. Like, I've seen people like just get healed of things. I've seen demons get cast out, which was crazy. I'm a perfectly rational person, and I've seen some wild stuff.
Come on.
That's like, dude, like that's how I know it's real. So I agree. Like, I agree that I want people to know, but I just want people to know like how truly real it is.
Yeah.
And like, if you just ask God for a sign, and He'll show you something.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what other closing things do you want people to know about you before we wrap up here?
Yeah. Very big on building my personal brand now. That's why actually when I reached out to Pineda Media, and that's how I got hooked up with Coach Kate, because you guys had that program at that time. And I loved what you guys were doing and how you were building your personal brands and the authenticity and how you guys were shooting. I'm like, oh man, I got to hook up with these guys. So yeah, I'm big on building my personal brand. And I see that because, you know, influence is currency. And you see all these, you know, macro and micro influencers out there cutting, you know, big business deals and selling companies like Hailey Bieber for $1 billion just simply because of her influence on the platforms, you know, and like you scale that down even to a micro influencer. And if you learn how to leverage and monetize that, there's so much value, but mostly because and even if you don't monetize on that end and you have a portfolio of companies or you have one business or one product, it's so much easier to build trust with a person when they're following your personal account than when they're following your business account, because you're much more relatable than your business, right? And yeah, I'm just big on that, and I'm trying to go as hard as I can. I'm trying to shoot as much content, but staying aligned with my values. I'm not just shooting content on what's hidden, you know. But Kate in your program was a big part of that.
Yeah,
right?
good.
It's like, dude, just rock out and be who you are. You know, there's enough of a crowd for that. So yeah, I'd say like build your personal brand, man.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's just your digital resume these days. And that's why I do this. Because people can reach out for me for consulting. People reach out for like whatever. And it's only because they decided to watch a few videos of mine. They spend enough time. They're like, all right, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about.
Sure.
And so, so it amplifies everything else that you do. So I'm with you 100%. I think filming content, creating content, and more importantly, just being the content, right? Like if you And that's something that I really think about a lot too, is like, if I just keep on focusing on building businesses and building and building and building, and then just telling people how I did it, like it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah,
so that's all I'm like focused on. Yeah, I want to keep creating content. I do some dad stuff here and there, but for the most part, it's like I'm going to keep building and then tell people how I did it. That's how I look at content, at least.
100%.
That's good,
bro.
man.
Yeah, and you guys are in the midst of it, right? Like
Yeah.
you see it, watch it live as it's happening in regards to what you're building and who's coming on your potters and how you're scaling, and like even just learned a lot from you guys, all across the board. And it's been a pleasure to be working with Kate now as well, most recently. So yeah, it's cool.
Cool, man. So where can people find you? Speaking of the personal
at
brand.
Nick Regina on Instagram. I'm not too active on any other platforms, even though I know I should be.
And
man. Repurposing for Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube and all that. But it is a start, and I'm going hard on there. So at Nick Regina on Instagram, and from there there's links attached to everything else I do in my companies and whatnot. So
nice, amazing. So if you guys want to get hooked up on the insurance side, the loan side, and then
wear a blazer.
And wear a blazer, absolutely.
Wear a blazer, more importantly.
Amazing, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
Peace.